What's going on, everybody? I said, you know, we started off today. I said back then, now I be all
over me.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Put the LUs in the chat if you're ready for a live event. What? What? You rolling up. Going now.
Mike Jones about to blow.
You know, you can still call the number.
Damn if I was here. Damn if I was here. What they say, Daniel? Back then they did Morgan. Now hard they all over. I said, what's in the cup, bro? What's in the cup?
Hey, I am with a little bit of juice today. Strawberry lemonade.
I've got Coke.
Yeah, strawberry lemonade. Yeah.
Yeah. Back then, I remember back then. Hey, listen, thank y'all for showing up tonight. We got a great event with a great group of fellas. One in particular that, you know, this man just blew the program out of the water and just came through, set everything on fire. Had so many people. Hey, man, you're talking too loud, man. Damn.
I'm sorry.
It's time you got that. He's humming on that Keychron. That's right. I'm with you.
I got headphones on. I can't hear.
Hey, listen, you know, like what typing is something that I could use in one of the recordings in the movies or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He said volume is kind of low.
My volume is kind of low. All right, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Or using the chat. If you can hear me, great. Put the no if you can't hear me at all, or if I'm low.
I think it's just when you lean back.
All right. Yeah, so don't lean back because, you know, you either need to pull your mic, like, you know.
Yeah, they want me how to I know how to do it. Anyway.
Or maybe it's Troy's Windows computers. And stuff.
L, you in the chat, can y'all hear me good? L, use in the chat if you can hear me. All right, I want to see LU. Okay, cool. All right, so look, we had a great event, a live event. We want to share stories of people that's been successful. And this particular gentleman, you know, was able to level up in tech not 6 months, but 5.5 months before he got scooped up by one of our partners, and we actually have a representative from North Labs in the building. I would
say I saw Jared sneak in there.
Yep, Jared's in the building. So
Bing bong.
I want to introduce y'all to somebody that, you know, that's from my hometown as well. And we grew up in the same.
That's right.
Connected to the same people. This man came through and just blew it out the water. I want to introduce y'all. Well, first before I introduce him, I want to introduce y'all to my co-host, my director. Y'all know him, Mr. Bryant, Billion Dollar Man. What up, big dog?
Not me. They're still out here working hard, man. Here to celebrate Daniel's success and probe him and ask him some questions so that everybody else that's going through the struggle right now or who about to go through the struggle can realize, oh, that's what I'm feeling right now. Or when they hit it, they gonna know that, you know, what Daniel said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not what we said, but somebody other than us. Because they used to say us, but now they say Daniel.
That's all right, because I relied on what y'all said, so that's okay.
We're going to introduce the headliner. We talk about Harpo, who that man is. Mama, there goes that man. You know, we talk about the man that came through and slayed every dragon that got in his way. I want y'all to give it up, show some love, put the LUs and actually put the DRs in the chat for my brother, Daniel Rothamel. What's up, man?
Oh man, I'm so glad to be here. I love y'all. I really do. Like, you know, like I said, I've told you this numerous times. If it wasn't for y'all, I definitely wouldn't be right here. But there's my life would definitely be a lot different. So I really appreciate y'all. And I appreciate everybody coming out because, like, you know, who am I? Mike Jones. No, who am I? But you know, why would you listen to me? But hopefully, I've got some stuff I can share with y'all that'll be beneficial from my experience, and you know, that can help you. Just like Bryant said, like, you know, when you're going through stuff, you know, you're not alone. You are definitely not alone, even when it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I want people to really recognize that too, right? So we will get started by, you know, tell them now, like, introduce your title, like what you do right now.
Okay.
Share thing about yourself.
My official title is a cloud solutions engineer at North Labs, which is a fantastic organization. We're remote first, but based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And what North Labs does is we are a partner, an AWS partner. We're a partner with Snowflake. But it's a consulting firm that goes out and helps. We help businesses who either they need to get into the cloud, or they're into the cloud but only halfway. They want to do more, or they're in the cloud and they don't think they're doing it well. So we help them optimize and really take their businesses to the next level. So let's see. The interesting thing about myself, whenever I get asked this question, I always have two go-tos. I'll go with the tamer one for right now, since y'all have just met me. I was a high school and college basketball referee for 20 seasons. I did 18 seasons of high school and college basketball. So I refereed basketball at the Division III and Division II level for 8 years, and then 18 years total doing high school basketball. So that's given me a unique perspective on a lot of things in life. Wearing the stripes has given me a unique perspective. So that's one of those things that, you know, if you don't know me real well, you'd have no way of knowing. But that's I'll throw out my second one. I'll give you all the bonus. My second interesting thing about me that you would know is that I do not have a large intestine. That's the one that I always had to prepare people for. So I had my colon removed back in 2015 at the Mayo Clinic. So, you know,
bubble guts, man.
Right.
I know. See, that's what I said. Damn. That's why those are my two. I know. See, that's my other go-to. When somebody's like, "Tell me something interesting," like, here's something that most people aren't going to know.
And they probably like,
"Oh man, I shouldn't have asked that."
I'll tell you another interesting fact that I hope I get this right. You in the graduating class, if I'm not correct, if I'm correct, with Chris Daughtry.
That is correct. Chris and I had numerous classes together. Chris is a really good guy. Chris and I had drama class together. We had PE class together. Chris is a really good guy. Love Chris Daughtry.
Chris Daughtry is a rock star right now.
Oh yeah.
American Idol.
Season 3.
Yeah, got it started in American Idol. I think it was like second, third place, and went on to be a rock star.
Yep.
You know, that's loved everywhere. So yeah, for sure.
He still rocks that Fluco hat every once in a while.
Oh, for real? Dang.
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh my God!
Look, I want the jacket. I'm gonna get the Letterman.
There you
go. But you know, Ross, the only way you can get the Letterman jacket is to be late.
Look, right? I lettered in multiple sports, and I don't have a Letterman jacket. So.
Oh, I do. I don't know where my high school one is, but I got my college one. So.
Oh, see, if I had done that, I would have gotten that for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, because I want to get into the meat and potatoes and really talk about like your experience and like how you felt going through, because I know that's what people want to hear. We got some people that's already in the program that's here waiting to, you know, hear the success story. So as far as we know, you know, the industry has been exploding in cloud, and everybody wants to transition into this, you know, and which means there'll be a lot of developing talent coming in the near future as well. And I know when I started Level Up in Tech in 2020, right before COVID really hit, people were coming in droves because they wanted to have a sustainable career in a more stable industry. And one of the 3 stable industries we've seen then was healthcare, retail, grocery, and tech was just boom, right? So, and it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger, right? So tell us more about like how you came into the industry and like what made you say, you know what, this is something that I want to do, and what challenges you faced internally or externally when you try to upskill yourself through the program.
Yeah, so my background, since I got out of college, my wife, myself, my mother-in-law, we actually ran a real estate brokerage. So I became a realtor right out of college. And, we ran a successful real estate brokerage. And then we moved to South Carolina. We moved from Virginia to South Carolina. And, for 2 years, we knew we wanted to do something different. We didn't know exactly what that was. We tried a couple different things in technology, and actually, right before Level Up in Tech, we were going to have a tour company, a walking tour company. I also happen to be, well, actually not anymore, but I was a certified tour guide with the city of Charleston here in South Carolina. And COVID, like literally the first day we had tours booked when our business was supposed to launch was the first day Charleston was shut down.
Wow.
And so that destroyed any opportunity we had there. So then it was like, this was in March. And so then I was like, man, we got to find something else to do. And I knew you. Having, been friends with you on Facebook and seeing what you were doing, I was like, this sounds really interesting. And so I started researching a little bit more because I had no idea what a DevOps engineer was. I had no clue what DevOps was. And then when I did a little research on my own, I was like, this is something that I think I could be interesting to me and that I could actually do. And so I reached out to you, you and I had discussions about it, and you told me, look, if it's something you want to do, let's make it happen. And so, that's what I did. Obviously there's a lot of things that everybody goes through anytime you're trying to, and actually I used to call it transitioning, and I actually don't think about it that way anymore. I actually think about it as transforming. You're really transforming your career because like your career is really your entire, work life from beginning to end. And you're not really leaving one thing and going to another so much as you really want to focus on building on what you already have. And like you always say, leveling it up. So even if you're going to level up, in my case, like having gone from the real estate industry and being a small business owner in real estate into technology, I wasn't exactly transitioning. I was really transforming the experience that I already had and bringing it to what the skills that I was learning in Level Up in Tech and the skills that I was learning in cloud. Because one of the things that I discovered was that like, I had experience that when I started, I didn't know how it was going to be useful or if it even was useful or like whatever. But then I quickly discovered, no, everything is useful. You just got to figure out how to use it and how to use the skills that you have, how to use the talents that you have, how to use the interests that you have. And then apply those and apply yourself in a program like Level Up in Tech. And I mean, the sky is the limit because as you said, cloud is not going to go away. And pandemic or not, I think cloud changed the pandemic changed the way people work in the cloud.
Yes.
But, cloud was coming regardless.
Right. It just sped it up, right?
Right. It just sped it up, yeah.
And I think a lot of y'all don't understand the importance of what Daniel just said. So think about this. Think about a pandemic pushed companies to use a technology that a lot of them said before the pandemic that they were never going to use.
Yeah.
Right? Companies were anti-cloud. Like, we're never going to use cloud. We need to protect what we have. Public cloud is too unsafe. We're just not going to use it. And then the pandemic came and it forced companies to adopt something that they had no idea how to adopt. So now think about this. Almost 2 years later, they're still trying to figure out how to migrate their data, their databases, their VMs, applications over to the cloud. Now, they may have somebody help them migrate the big portion of what they need over to the cloud. But once they hand over the keys, right, who's going to drive it? Who's going to drive that Ferrari from now on, right? They have no idea, which means it's an opportunity for you to work with companies like North Labs and all other companies we work with, Dell and Tenacity Cloud and all of them, where we're focusing on developing talent, and you are going to be coming into the industry understanding and being exposed more to complex scenarios than some people have been in the last year or two working in the role already. Because think about it too. People have been in tech roles for 20 years, and let's say they've done the last 19 years on year one. They've never learned anything else. And that's what you have to understand now. And, Brian, do you have anything to add to it? I want to take, Sean, I want to get you the opportunity to talk to.
Oh, see, now you're muted, man. What happened?
Whoa, help him. Oh, man. God, look, hey, listen, don't call him D-Dollar. I mean, call him Dollar no more. Don't call him D-Dollar. He ain't got enough money to afford good headphones to get the microphone. And we ain't waiting.
Everybody struggles with tech. See? This is how we got nothing. We got nothing. You got nothing. You are totally mute. Yeah, come back in. But actually, to reinforce your point, like let's take North Labs for example, right? Colin Graves, who's the founder of North Labs, started North Labs 5-6 years ago. He was one of the very first engineers certified with AWS. So like he's been around since the very beginning of cloud, and he's back. Now talk. Can you hear me? There we go. There we go. There's that $1 million voice.
Somebody called me. You know when you're on your
I hate that.
And it clicks over, and then it just completely
it's gone.
Up. So, It's tech, man. They haven't figured out how to, decide.
I know. Everybody says that Bluetooth devices will switch seamlessly, and none of them do.
Yeah, none of them do. None of them. So I had to disconnect my phone and then reconnect.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. So what I was saying is, and he can tell you stories of when he would go into boardrooms and talk to executives about going to the cloud and would get literally chased away. Like literally they would chase out and be like, just like you said, we're never going to public cloud. Now all those companies are coming back around and they're like, we have to be in the cloud and somebody has to help us get there. And so, the way I think about it is if you look at the cloud industry as a growing industry, think about it as like a wave. Like we are just now in the middle of the very beginning of that wave rising out of the ocean. Like that. I mean, people think that everybody's in the cloud, but it's just not. I mean, if you look at the examples, I think at reInvent yesterday, they said something like 4% or 5% of business workloads are in the cloud, worldwide. It's like, it's nothing. Like it's really nothing.
Yeah, the piggyback.
96, 95% that needs to get there. So think about the demand, right, for the skills that y'all have for building right now. Like it's not even, once again, it's not even the fact of are there going to be jobs out there? It's the fact of are you going to be prepared? Right. Because I'm sure if this is you, put yes in the comment. How many times have you had a recruiter hit you up because you have a certification and you can't take advantage of the jobs because you don't have the skill? Put a yes in the comments. Let me see. How many people are in here, if any? Right? How many people, recruiters hit you up and you can't take advantage of the opportunity because you don't have the skills? You are not prepared. So it's not a fact of there's jobs out there. It's just a fact of you being prepared. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think Brian could attest to it too, because that man, just like Daniel, came through and slayed every dragon we gave him, and was
100%.
And was able to push himself to the next.
That man is the blueprint. That man is the blueprint.
The blueprint. When he got JP on the cover with the cigar.
Yep, that's it. That's it right there. Yep.
Yeah, man, I just kind of piggyback off what y'all was saying. It's like they want to know, if you have experience in the cloud, right? And that's something that we see. I'm pretty sure everybody on this call knows about LinkedIn. You'll see it all the time on LinkedIn. People will be struggling to get jobs because I was there at one point, right? Even though I knew I had the skills, you had to prove to somebody else you have the skill, right? But, that knowing the cloud and having the skill is very difficult. And there's only one way to prove it, right? And it's by putting yourself out there.
Yeah, tell them how they can prove it, Brian.
The only way to prove it is by developing your brand, right? You develop your brand just like Daniel did, just like I did, just like every other member who has been in Level Up in Tech, who probably most likely has a job right now. They made themselves a brand, right? And when you do that by doing your projects. Right. So any current guests or students that are on here, any former guests or students, or any future guests or students that are on this call right now, or who may review this call, getting the certification is very self-satisfying. It's a great feeling. It's a feeling I like, and I might take another one soon. Not gonna tell you which one. I'll just pop up with it. Right. But you know what I'm saying? It is a great feeling. After 48 hours, that feeling is gone, and you've got to prove that skill.
Yep.
Period.
Yep. After
right?
give you the praise, congratulations.
After you get the praise, if the recruiters ain't calling, it don't matter, right? Unless you're looking for that. And then to kind of piggybacking off the other point of all these companies that want to get to the cloud, it is nice, and we're going to talk about this in just a second. Well, I'm going to get Daniel to talk about this because I've already talked about it. Is there is a mix of everybody moving from what they call on-prem to the cloud, right? Very rarely will you get a company that's going to go on-prem 100% to cloud, right? Any new department sections that come up in their company, I guarantee it's going to be a new cloud section, right? It's going to be a new cloud department. And they're going to slowly be migrating over their data. And in some cases, they may have to rewrite that data, right? That may or may not be your job to participate in the coding of that, right? More software engineer than anything, but a lot of the software engineers, they don't know the infrastructure of the cloud. They don't know the services to take advantage of in the cloud. And if you can architect these systems to show them how they work, that's where your value comes in. Broadus always talks about what value are you bringing to the company? Okay, well, y'all got 37 EC2 instances running on demand. Why are we not on spot instances if they're all under contract for a year?
Right.
Simple. Right? And then you show them, we're 75% of whatever you spend in $100,000. Oh, now we pay $25,000 instead of $100,000.
Yep.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Business need. That's it.
Yep. So that's just a brief example. Don't want to go too long with it because Daniel is here to tell his story. So,
I do have another question I want to ask because I want to, just really share too. Right now, the industry is just changing, as we just said. Right, it's cloud is like the trend, right? Cloud is like the epidemic that's hit this industry now. And I want to ask you, from your point of view, what can newcomers do to prepare themselves to learn more of the tools, services that the industry is using, and so they could be an asset like Brian?
I think one of the number one things you have to do is prepare yourself psychologically and approach this with a plan. Because the biggest obstacle you're going to find, if you're honest about what you want to do, the biggest obstacle you're going to find is yourself. Like, you are going to be your biggest obstacle. And it'll be either by, getting in your own way, not being committed, not understanding why you want to do these things. But you really have to prepare for the fact that, we could talk about this a little bit because it's going to be one of the questions, imposter syndrome of being like, do I really know this stuff the way I know this stuff? Like, I don't know. Do I? And it's hard because as Brian's talking about, like, when you don't have a job, how do you prove that you know the skills? Like, how do you, when nobody's telling you, I need you to do X, like, how are you supposed to show that you can do it? But, understanding that, and what I mean by preparing yourself psychologically is the one thing I think that helped me the most is understanding that I am running my own race. I am not competing with the other people who are looking for jobs. I am not competing with the other people in my cohort if I'm at Level Up in Tech. They are my teammates for a reason, and we are working together. There is no, here's the thing. This isn't like a game or a foot race, right? Where only one person can win and, only one person's going to get the top prize. Cloud is not like that. There's literally infinite possibilities for everybody. Like, everybody can win here. You just need to decide. Yes, there's roles for everybody. Everybody.
To understand that, man.
Right.
Will I get a job? Bro,
yeah, exactly.
Not get a job if you just listen to what we tell you.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. And you just have to decide, all right, so if I'm running my own race, how do I go about doing that? What can I do to run my race and be successful with the goals that I have? Because for me, so look, Brian came before me. Brian killed it. Brian killed it in a way that I can't, right? If I tried to do what Brian did, I would fail because his skill set is different than my skill set.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And it's not, it's it's not, and again, we're not competing against each other. It's not like, he's going to have some job that I can't, or there's only one job. Again, there's roles for everybody, but my skill set is different than his skill set. My experiences are different than his experiences. The things that I bring to the table are different than the things that he brings to the table. All you got to do is maximize those things, maximize those things for you. Concentrate on those things for you, concentrate on what you can do, and then engineer for yourself a plan, and so that you're looking for the right roles that you're going to fit into. Because if I looked for the roles that Bryant got, it wouldn't work for me. Like it wouldn't work. I wouldn't be able to do them. So, that was one of the things that I had to figure out early on when I thought about, like, all right, when I get out of Level Up in Tech, what am I going to do? Like, what can I do? And one of the ways that I discovered, so this is one of the other things you have to think about, is like, and it was hard for me to adjust, is that the possibilities are almost infinite and the opportunities are almost infinite. And so it can be so the first thing is you have to open your mind up to a lot of different possibilities. And then the second thing is you can't be overwhelmed by all those different, possibilities. So, and one of the ways that I was able to discover what the possibilities were, and we'll talk about this later too, is by networking with people on LinkedIn. Like, Jared, who's on the call here at North Labs, him and I, like, the only reason I met Jared is because, to go back, so, you talked about Tenacity. One of the guys at Tenacity, Steve LaChance, put a thing on LinkedIn that was like, I'm having 20-minute get acquainted calls. If anybody wants to talk to me, I'm here to help. So I was like, all right, cool. I had no clue who he was or what Tenacity was or whatever. I just like to talk to people. So I was like, all right, I got nothing else to do. So we met. I talked to him. Because I met him, I met another man, Isaac Pelzer, who's at North Labs. I talked with the same thing. Isaac did the exact same thing. He was like, I'm having 20-minute get acquainted calls. I was like, oh, cool. Never heard of North Labs. Let me talk to Isaac. Talk to him. Then from talking to him, that's how I met Jared. From talking to Jared, then all these people get to know you. They get to know your brand. Yep. And then, that's how you can take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. They opened my mind to a possibility that I didn't know existed. And once I knew that it existed, I was like, oh, okay, this is something that fits with my skill set. This is something that fits with my experience. This is something that I can do.
Yeah. And Daniel, I'm sorry, just to go off of that real quick, brother, before you get going. It's like 3 for 3, right? You know what I'm saying? Because my last role, which is with Threat Connect, right? I got that off LinkedIn too. Okay.
Right.
The role that I'm in now at USAA, and I think that LinkedIn can give a false perception that we actually know these people, right? How I got my role at USAA was through LinkedIn. I don't know these people from Adam, right? You know what I'm saying? I swear to y'all, I don't know these people, but through LinkedIn and the technical conversations that we have, the stuff that we learn about one another without any intent on, we know what networking can lead to, but there's literally no intent in the original connection, right? I'm going to get something out of this person.
Exactly.
I'm telling you right now.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I know
right.
that the person I connected with at USAA was even paying attention to me. And I know that it's hard for some people to believe, right? And I fought this fight like, nah, I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? Or stay in my little shell. I was comfortable, whatever. And I forgot who posted this on LinkedIn. People say great stuff. Your next role, right, will not be when you're ready. I was not ready to leave Threat Connect. I was not ready. Oh, you think you said that? I was not ready to leave my previous position. I wasn't ready to leave, right? And then, boom, this rolls up. And I told my wife, I'm like, man, I don't know where this is going to go. All of that to say is that LinkedIn is a great place. You should leverage LinkedIn. And Marvin, we will answer your question in a little bit. We see it. We're not ignoring it. So, but yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Like with Daniel, he was so proactive that Jerry reached out to us. Like, hey, we talked to Daniel, man, and he hit us with, we can get anybody to sing in our band, but we want him. You know what I'm saying? So, what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, great. You know what I mean? It was just like one of those things that just came together. And he already was showing his worth by, number one, after having those conversations, I don't think those conversations would have been had with me if, number one, Daniel wasn't sharing what he was doing and learning.
Yep.
Right.
There was no way.
He wasn't showcasing his projects, and he took it a step further and showcased his projects on video. If
it was good. The first person that I have done that,
because he was proving what he knew, right? So,
the first person to do it at Level Up.
Yeah.
So this goes back to what I was saying, though, is because we were all documenting our projects, and anybody who's been through Level Up in Tech or is in it now, when Bryant and Broadus tell you that you have to document your projects, that is 100% true. Because let me tell you, if nothing else, when you get into a role, you want to be in the habit of documentation. Because I can tell you that in the real world, documentation is a disaster. And
every company.
And look, so here's the crazy thing. Companies literally need someone who has that skill. Like they need someone who has that skill. And so, and when I was looking, one of the things was when we were documenting our projects for Level Up in Tech, I was looking around and saying, all right, well, what can I do differently that like fits? Because I was an English major. Like I enjoy writing. So I don't mind doing documentation, but I was thinking like, all right, well, what's something I can do that's different? And like, I got all this stupid audio equipment laying around my house because I had a podcast 4 years ago, right? And so I was like, might as well put it to good use. I watch these other people do. I mean, I'm looking on YouTube when I'm Googling how to fix how to fix a Kubernetes cluster. Like I see somebody doing a really, really boring screencast, and I'm like, I can do this. I can do it at least as good as they're doing it. Let's give it a shot. Right. Let's try. And that's what I did. And I threw it out there, and people thought it was cool. And I was like, oh, all right, because I can do. And again, I took advantage of my skill set. I wasn't trying to do what somebody else was doing or be better than somebody else or whatever. I was just like, all right, how can I maximize the skills that I have? But yeah, that documentation piece, do it. Get good at it and get in the habit of doing it.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to answer Marl's question before it moves up. Is the CCP worth it going forward or go straight for the SAA? It depends on the role you're trying to land, right? I mean, if you're trying to be technical, you go straight for the SAA, right? CCP, if you're trying to, and there's nothing wrong with the CCP. If you're trying to take it in steps and just learn cloud piece by piece, AWS more specifically, then go ahead and go for the CCP and then go for the SAA. Now, hold on. Let me see. All right.
Oh, bye. He gone. He dropped him again.
You feel that you can go just for the SAA. You can still go for the SAA in the beginning stages of your career and still land it, right? But this as long as you understand that a solutions architect associate does not make you a solutions architect. All right.
That's a good point. He's back.
You the services and tools that you can use in AWS to design solutions. All right. Now with Tony talking about CC Marvin's question, why are you worried about that? You taking the developer. Why you asking
Tony? Look, let me tell you. Look, here's the thing. If I were doing it myself, I would have started with I didn't know. I would have started with the CCP, right? If I researched it myself, I would have started with that. However,
with CCP.
In Level Up in Tech, we got the developer associate. Looking back, it's like, holy crap, like I skipped a step, like, or a path on their learning path. But here's the thing. I know this sounds corny and I've only ever really half believed it until now, but if you believe you can do it, you can do it. Like you can actually do it. And Level Up in Tech gives you the tools and the support. And if you just do what you need to do, what you're supposed to do, you can do it. Like, I know it sounds crazy. You can do it.
Hold on. Take a pause. This is great. This is so unplanned and great. Okay? Hold on, brothers. Daniel, I don't want you to be too long because I know this can go on and on. I want you to tell the people, for the ones that's going to watch it after, to the ones that's watching it now. Tell me about what you thought before joining this program, what you thought during the program in your first 2 months. All right? From day one, the struggles, until when you're working your way towards the end and you're starting to see what in the hell the first 4 weeks actually meant. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
And try not to be too long-winded because I know
Yeah.
got other stuff he wants to hit.
So I could talk about this stuff for hours and hours and hours. But so when you start, because I started with no tech background. So Level Up in Tech, first thing we're doing on day one is learning about Linux. Now, I did know that Linux was an operating system, so like I knew. I had never opened up a terminal. I had never done a terminal session. And so like in the beginning, the first week, you're like, yikes, man. I don't know none of this. Like this is tough. Like I'm using parts of my brain that I haven't used in a long time or ever in some cases. Yeah. And so, but then what's crazy about it is if you just follow the plan, that's all I did. I didn't do anything special. All I did was we had a Trello board that told us what to do that day. All I did was what was on the board. I didn't do anything extra. I didn't do anything special. I was just like, all right, I'm going to do this. And so that's what I did, step by step, day by day. After the first month, it's like, holy crap, I have a Linux Essentials certification. 4 weeks ago, I didn't know nothing about Linux. And then it was like, hey, now we're going to study AWS. I knew what an S3 bucket was because I had actually created an S3 bucket for my real estate brokerage back in 2007 or something like that. That was still on my AWS account. But I didn't know anything about AWS again, but it was the same thing. Just follow the plan. Just get a little bit better every day. Commit to the plan. 4 weeks later, I have an AWS Developer Associate degree, Developer Associate certification. Same thing with Kubernetes. Same thing, although Kubernetes kicked my butt. I'm still going back to Kubernetes. Same thing with Terraform. It's like, what the heck is infrastructure as code? But same thing. All right, let's just follow the plan. Same thing every day. And I look back, I've told both of y'all this. 6 months ago, I knew nothing. Nothing. Now, when I look back at what I've done in 6 months, and the thing about it is, it's not just the skills that you and the tools that you learn. It's the habits that you develop to learn those skills that will serve you even better going forward. Because now I know that regardless of what tools somebody puts in front of me and says, hey, we need you to learn this, or regardless of what challenge it is, I now have a blueprint, because Level Up in Tech has given it to me. I now have a blueprint for tackling those challenges. Just do it day by day, little bit by little bit, get a little bit better every day. And eventually you turn around, you're like, I did that. That's pretty crazy.
It's all about execution. You don't, and I put a video out this morning talking about you don't have to be super smart to get into tech. I'm not tech smart at all. I wasn't tech smart at all. All I did, all Brian did, all Daniel did, anyone who came through was successful did was execute. Execute. That's it. Sacrifice, you're going to have to give up something. You can't live the same life you living right now.
You can't go to the Bahamas, Jamaica, Hawaii, Europe. For 6 months, you've got to do absolutely nothing. All right, you might get a little football on Sundays, but that Netflix time at nighttime, that's got to go. That's got to go for 6 months out your life. All right, sorry. Yeah, I get fired up.
I want to answer Marvin's question.
I was just going to say, Marvin put in a good thing in there, yeah.
Someone was just telling me to learn Ansible 2 months ago. Now it's terrifying. I can't keep up. But see, this is the issue that we have. Everyone has had.
Yes.
People will tell you 1,000 different things, right? That's why you need to join a program that's structured and that's dedicated for your success. It's going to teach you step by step to help you get this bag and get this career, bro.
Look, let me address that for just a second, because Jason's question up there, he asked about what my day-to-day is like. And he said he always hears about money and flexibility, but what are the pros and cons you can speak of? Let me tell you this. I didn't know, again, I know I keep saying this because it's true. I knew nothing walking into Level Up in Tech. So now I will say I had researched other programs because obviously I want to know, look, if I'm going to spend money on this, it's got to be good. And let me tell you, the value of Level Up in Tech is absolutely tremendous. You can pay a lot more money and get a much crappier experience when you're done. I mean, I'm telling you, because I've talked to those people who have spent a lot more money, spent at least as much time or more and don't have the foundational skills that you have. Like when I talk to people and at my job, when I talk to people at other companies, the things that I learned in Level Up in Tech provide the foundation, the platform that you can use to then go wherever the opportunity takes you in cloud. And for somebody like Brian, it takes him to security. For somebody like me, it's more on the business and data side. For somebody like Broadus, it's more on the training side. And you can go wherever you want to go, but Level Up in Tech is the best that I have found at giving you exactly the foundation that you need.
Right. Don't make me blush, man. Don't make me blush.
But it's true.
You said something important that I see somebody, who said in the comments that, hey, I was told I need to learn Ansible. Now it's Terraform. Listen, if you don't have what Daniel just said, which is the foundations, the foundations use, the other technologies use these foundations and they build upon them, right? So in that program, you will learn a little, not a lot, but you'll learn a little bit of Python and you'll learn what it does, how you can use it, blah, 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 blah. Ansible uses Python.
Yeah.
Right? You see what I'm saying? So you have to learn, because you have to learn how to set it up. Right? Ansible don't just set itself up. Right? You got to set it up. You see what I'm saying? So, and that's just one example of, you can't skip the foundations. You can't skip a side model. You can't skip the networking part of it. You know what I mean? Because you can't get security without the networking part. Some type of fundamentals. You don't have to be an expert. Like Brian said, you don't have to be tech smart. We're not here to master Linux in the first 4 weeks. It's not possible. Right?
No.
We're not here to master Python. Not possible, right? In the time that we have. Right? It ain't possible to master AWS. It's not possible to master that right now. But what you will know is you'll know a large percentage of it to the point where you're comfortable enough to be able to speak about it. Right. And that's where it comes in. And I'm not going to keep going on because it worked out.
Well, let me give again a personal example, right? So at North Labs, one of the things we do a lot of DevOps work, but we also do a lot of data work. And we're partners with Snowflake. And Snowflake, for those of you who don't know, Snowflake is a platform as a service that does data. So data lakes, data warehouses, data engineering, all this stuff, right? So when I got to North Labs, one of the first things that Jared had me do was go through Snowflake's like little initial training thing to learn more about Snowflake, their sales process, all these things, right? If I didn't have the foundation that I gained at Level Up in Tech, Snowflake would have been virtually impossible for me to understand. Like, it wouldn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. But because I had the foundation from Level Up in Tech to understand the cloud and how these things work, Snowflake made sense to me. And then I was able to combine that with, for me, my business experience. Like, I understand how Snowflake and the cloud can take a business and totally transform it 100%. But I needed to have that foundation that Level Up in Tech provided so that I could even understand it, so it was even possible to learn it. And that's the thing. Level Up in Tech has given me the foundational, not just tools and knowledge, but also the habits and skill set that can help me learn and tackle anything.
It takes 28 days, but we gonna get it. I promise.
So I want to get back to Jason's questions. I don't think we fully answered, right? So what can a developing engineer really expect in their first days or even weeks?
I'll answer that real quick. And Brian, I'll tell you, the first thing is you can expect a lot of Zoom meetings. That's the first thing. A lot of Zoom meetings. But you need to, right? Because if you're going to work at a company, like, you need to understand who you're working with, what they do. Like, that's what I did for the first week. What they're good. That's literally what I did for the first week and a half, was just meeting the other people in the company, the service delivery people, the other engineers, to find out what they do, what they're good at, literally like what they do and how I fit into everything. And, the other thing is, and I know Brian's talked about this a lot, it's going to feel like you are drinking from a fire hose. Like, you are going to feel you are going to feel like you are drowning. Like, you are just drowning. And that's okay. It's okay to feel that way, because literally everybody's going to feel that way. And you can swim out of it.
Go home, Daniel. You going to go home and you're going to be like, damn, I don't know if this for me.
I don't know. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's exactly right. But again, like I said, level up in tech gives you the foundation to step back and say, okay, I also remember when Linux was overwhelming to me. I also remember when AWS was overwhelming to me. How did I conquer that challenge? Oh, I just did things day by day. I was consistent. I learned a little bit at a time. I stayed curious. I stayed hungry. And you can do whatever you need to do.
Nice. And it's for me too, like just explaining even my first day in tech, right? I had a job where it was the role that was created for me. So I literally had to come in from scratch and really build up the processes and build up what this role really meant. And for someone who had the imposter syndrome and doubting themselves and going through these meetings and looking at documentation and trying to understand, I was like, whoa. Am I really going to be able to do this? And just like you said, taking it day by day, right? Chunk by chunk and understanding it, I ended up building this role and hiring like 10 people with my manager to fill certain aspects of the role. And then I got promoted and moved into a trainer, right? So what you need to expect right now, if you're going into a company and this is your first tech role, first cloud role, is don't put too much pressure on yourself. It's okay to feel like, hey, what am I really going to be learning? Don't have that anxiety of, they're going to slap me with something I'm not going to know how to do it and they're going to fire me. That's not
right.
It's probably not going to happen, right? Because our fear is going to make us realize something that's far greater than and what's really going to happen. So just come in there and just understand what they're trying to accomplish and think strategically of what you can do to help. If it's a new role that they created, then, figure out what works, as you move on and you start using the tools. Think about automation, right? Think about like, if some things that I got to do every day, how can I automate these things, right? What tools can I use to give me some reports every single day so I ain't got to pull them manually, right?
Yep.
What things can I do to connect and integrate with other things that give us data that we need that make my boss's life easier too? Because you got to think, if you make your boss's life easier or your manager's life easier, then you're going to be looked at as a person that they need and they have to have, right? Yeah. So if you plan on going somewhere later on, they be like, no, we need you here. Well, you know what you gotta do.
Right.
So Tony says, then the work you on call. I read somewhere that some roles in the cloud are like that. Some. Yeah. I mean, Brian can attest to that too. He's been on call.
Yeah. So is your workload overwhelming? Hell yeah. I mean, especially at some of the companies that are either startups or that are coming out of the startup phase. As a DevOps engineer, you do everything. You do the ops, right? So you do the support and you do the dev, all right? When you can, all right? That's what my first role was. It was maybe 35 dev and 65% ops. And those ops, you use a little bit of dev to get through the ops, right? So yes, is it overwhelming? Hell yeah, especially when you first start. But it does base and vary on where you work. It does, right? That was where, that was my first role. That's where I was at. And I know other folks who have time all day to just do dev work, right? And they have deadlines that are way further than I could have ever imagined. And something I think should take a couple of days, they had weeks to do. So it really depends on where you work. Consulting roles are different than operational roles, right? They're just different. Training roles are obviously different than dev roles. You know what I mean? It just really does based on where you work. And then you ask, have you been on call? In my first role, I was on call, right? 24/7, for a week, right? And then you become backup for the next week, right? So, yes, I've been on call. I've had to wake up at 3 a.m. and be like, oh my God, at 3 a.m. in the morning on my first alert was something I've never seen and something no one has ever seen. So I hated to do it, but I got help. You know what I'm saying? And we figured it out. But you'll never be on a good team in a good company with good culture. You will never be by yourself. And, you can be transparent about your skill set, but you don't have to be good at everything.
Yeah.
Right. Hear me? You don't. All right. On my new team that I'm on now, the first thing they asked me, hey man, what are you good at? Told them straight up. right? And he said, yeah, all right, well, I'm better in this area. So what you do that for is to come together and be like, all right, if we get a project, you do this, you do that, we'll come together, we'll bring it all together and figure out how to merge it together. That's what teams do, and that's how you get the goals. So don't be overwhelmed by what you need to know going into your first day. Yes, we want to prove ourselves, but it's how to have some common sense and some restraint in yourself to not be so froggy and just sit back, listen, learn, and you'll get there.
That's kind of hard.
I know. It's very hard.
Well, and to go back to what I was saying before, the difference between, this is one of the differences between Bryant and I, right? Like, depending on where you work, there's different ways that engineering and DevOps gets done. Like, I work at a company that's a consultancy, so like we don't have on-call people. Right, like, you know, now, granted, if something for one of our clients breaks, like, they are going to call and say, "Hey, we need help," and we'll help them. But like, we don't work that way because it's a consulting firm. So, you know, we work differently, and we work with a bunch of different clients. Or you can work at a place where you are doing specific projects for one company and developing specific things for one company and doing, you know, and those things are different. And for me personally, like, I wanted to be in that type of environment where we're working with different clients. Like, I like that. I really enjoy that. And it's partially because of my background in real estate. Like, I always had 5, 6, 10, 15 clients at one time. So I was accustomed to doing that. That's just the way I've always worked. So that's what I looked for. If you're not, then don't look for that. Like, don't accept the role at some place where it's not going to be the type of work that you want to do. Don't do that, because there's so many opportunities out there. And like, a lot of people like to work on contract. Now, granted, you're not going to work unless you have pretty extensive experience already. You're not going to work on contract more than likely in your first role, but you could. You know, and just understand that working on contract is a different thing, right? Because you're not being employed by that company. You could work on 3 different 4 contracts, as many as you want with different companies. So there's a lot of different ways that the work gets done. And that's one of those things, like I said before, understanding what your skill set is, what you like, the way you work best, so you can look for those right fits.
Yeah.
Well.
Preaching, man.
Preaching.
So I want to, because I know we're running short on time, because I want to answer some questions.
Coin is on point. Know yourself.
Yep. So
like, know yourself.
2 people that's on this call right now that what Brian's talking about, if you have a great culture of companies that are going to support you, you'll never be by yourself. So part of the data, Coin, Graham is on here, and Jared from North Labs. They can attest to, you know, building a culture of support, right? If a company is throwing you to the wolves and they're not really trying to support you and being the best you can be, that's not the company you want to work for.
Nope.
No.
Because ultimately, they want to fail.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and it's a terrible feeling, but you know it. You'll recognize it.
Yeah. So when you come in and you say, "Oh man, they're gonna throw me to the wolves. They're gonna, you know, chew me out, and I ain't gonna know nothing, and I'm gonna drown," then if that company does that, then that company ultimately wants to fail. Because no company that wants to be successful is going to allow a person to drown, because that means you're failing, and that means you're failing our customers.
Yeah.
Right.
So we want to support you to be the best you can be. All right. So Michael said, question for Daniel. Any tips for doing documentation in video format? I have equipment, and I've been thinking of doing that as well.
Okay, so 2 things. All I use is, I have a Mac, so I just use Screencast-O-Matic. Although I think I'm going to have to get a different software, because I think my Mac update broke it. And then what's the new OS now? Catalina. What are we on now? I forget. But
Big Sur.
Big Sur.
It's another one.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it broke Screencast-O-Matic, which I just got because it was Monterey. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, Monterey broke everything.
Yeah, so I may have to do something else. But so, you know, whatever equipment you use is fine. Just use whatever is simple for you to use. And like, I don't really do any editing. The nice thing about Screencast-O-Matic is, like, you know, I can just put some titles in there real quick. It's simple. Like, don't do anything that's going to take you a ton of time. The only other thing I'll say is, don't rely only on your video documentation. Like, if you're going to do that, because this is a mistake that I have made already. I did the video documentation. I didn't oftentimes. I started by also writing it out, but then I stopped doing that. And you don't have to necessarily also write it out, but at the very least, if you're doing things that require code, like you're doing Terraform or something like that, comment your code. Yeah, so comment your code out, because like if you don't, I've already done this. Like where I needed to go back and use something, like what the heck? Why did I do that? Then I got to go back and watch the video and see if I could remember. Like where if I would have just put comments in my code, it would have made my life a lot easier. This is why I put out that video. Wow, documentation is a love language. You got to love yourself. Good documentation. Use good documentation because you are going to need it. Yeah, and Coin brings up a good point. Use GitHub, GitLab, whatever, put your code in a repo so you can always go back and get to it, and when you need it.
So we do that too and Level Up.
Yep. So,
yeah, you learn that.
So let me ask you this. If you had to lay it out in steps, what are like the top 3 steps somebody in your or that will be in your position should be doing?
I think, we've talked about all of them already, right? I think the first one is you got to get your mind right. Like you really have to. This is so much about mindset. Like if anybody who's familiar with the 80-20 rule where, 80% of your results are generated by 20% of your work, yada, yada. Well, the 80-20 rule applies here too. 80% of this is mindset because you are 100% going to deal with imposter syndrome. You are 100% going to wake up some morning and be like, man, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't feel like doing my level up work today. It's going to happen. But you have to get your mind right for those 6 months. And if you do, you're in good shape.
Your mind got to be right. Period.
Yeah. And then, and everybody has different ways of doing that. But whatever way works for you, that's what you need to do. The other one is focus on just getting a little bit better every day. I like to say, like, how, the old aphorism is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's all you have to do. If you just get a little bit better every day, you are exponent. Somewhere there's a chart floating around the internet that shows what happens if you were to say, I'm going to increase my skill set or my talent by 1% every day. If you do that, the exponential growth is incredible. Like it's incredible. It's literally mind boggling because it's not linear. Right, it's exponential because it's like compound interest. So just focus on getting a little bit better every day. And the last thing is like just get to networking, meet people, talk to people. Even if the strategy that I think works really well is if you're looking for like tactics for networking. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, but he had put out this thing for social media a long time ago, social media marketing. Gary V. That's basically, he calls it, jab, 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 right hook, right? So you want to do little things and then something bigger. So what you do is just 8 times a day. If you don't want to create content, that's cool. Just say to yourself, all right, 8 times today, I am going to leave a comment, a meaningful comment on somebody else's post. Whether that's asking a question, whether it's, adding a comment, adding an insight, just getting involved in discussion. Just do that 8 times a day. Go out on LinkedIn, find somebody who's talking about something, and do something other than great post or this is cool. Like, actually maybe ask a question, like whatever. If you do that 8 times a day, I'm telling you, in a week, you'll see massive results. Like in a month, it'll be even better. And that's without creating any content. Then you just add in.
6 months, you're going to be like that.
Exactly. And then just add in. Then all you do is you just add in creating your own content, whether that's sharing your documentation or sharing something that you're learning. I did that. Like I was just putting stuff out there. I was like, hey, here's what I'm learning today. Level up in tech. Whatever that is, but just getting, again, that's one of those habits you can just get into building because you never know. Yeah, just like Brian said, like he met with people and he didn't know, he wasn't trying to get a job when he was talking to these people. And you're going to do the same thing, right? If you're just leaving comments, like you don't want to go into it looking for something, like trying to get something out of it. No, all you want to do is be helpful, ask questions, learn more, whatever, but keep feeding that.
Yep, learn to serve and
yeah, exactly.
Follow. So
exactly.
I want to do one thing that's going to get everybody out of their comfort zone. Y'all ready? So we have this feature. We have this feature on here called Group Feed. So what we're going to do is ask everybody to share their camera. We're going to take a picture. It's going to become a collage of pictures. So we're going to show.
Oh, nice.
So when I click on this Group Feed, I'm going to say we're going to do a Groupie style. Let's see, and we're going to start Groupie, and I'm gonna take a selfie. Everybody's on here gonna take a selfie. All right. So,
all right. Here we go. Hold on.
Everybody got it? Can you see it?
You gotta turn your cameras on. You gotta turn your cameras on.
Oh wait,
Don't worry
there we
about
go.
it.
Okay.
Nobody see you.
We don't care about your hair.
Yeah.
We don't care what your head looks like. What car you driving? You eat food. We want to see the fork, the spoon. We want to see it all.
Yeah.
All right, I got it. I did it there.
At the end, everybody took the picture of it, come together, and it's waiting. Let's see, 4 people have finished. Come on now, we got 22 people on this call.
Oh, hold on, I gotta go.
Oh Lord, Troy doesn't have a computer with a camera on it.
Troy, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable, Troy. And while we're doing that, for those who are interested in Level Up in Tech and want to talk about Level Up in Tech, click on that link at the above of the chat. It's on the book a strategy call with me. And for those who are on this call, the Black Friday pricing actually ended yesterday. But if you note that you are from this particular live session, we're going to extend the Black Friday pricing to you as well if you feel that Level Up in Tech is for you after the strategy call. So make sure you click that link and book a strategy call with me. We're going to talk about your goals, where you're trying to go, if we can help you get there. We have a lot of guests here that's in Level Up in Tech right now. They can all attest to the experience they have had and things that they're learning. So click that link. Come on, we need 10 more people.
12 people.
Come on.
Let's go.
10 more people. Get the group now.
Hey, Troy, you better get on your cell phone and take a picture of it.
I'm not going to cut it until y'all get this group done. Because I want to show everybody that's
Hey, we might. Hey, listen. It might be all night.
It ain't gonna show big pictures of y'all. Just you can barely see.
It's gonna show like the picture's gonna be like this small.
Yeah, you can't even see yourself.
You can't even see it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
So just come on now, come on. We need to show everybody that attended this call, and we want to show the community that we're building. Because if we don't have each other's backs, then who will? If we don't share the information and really help us understand exactly what we're going to be facing in this industry, who will? Right.
Yep.
So, come on,
on that note, while we're waiting for the people, I want to talk about the imposter syndrome thing for a second, because it is real, and I didn't know how real. Y'all prepared me, right? I didn't know how real it was going to be until you're going through it. However, a couple of things. One is, this is one of the beautiful, beautiful things about Level Up in Tech is the community of people you have to support you. Because if you went out and did this on your own and you're just like, all right, all this stuff is free, I'm going to go find it on AWS. I mean, sure, you can do that. But when the imposter syndrome hits you, because it will, who are you going to talk to? How are you going to deal with it? Whereas with Level Up in Tech, I can't tell you how many times I relied on Bryant, on Broadus, on my teammates, on my coaches to say, hey man, I'm stuck. I don't know if I can do this. And they're there to encourage you, because I don't know how spiritual any of y'all are on this call, but I will tell you, the devil is a liar. That's where imposter syndrome comes from.
Sometimes I'm the devil you need on your shoulder, because if you ain't doing
this
your
is
damn
true.
work, I'm fixing to tell you not doing
this
your
is
work.
true.
You gonna hate me for it at the moment, but you fixing to finish this program. I got anything to do with it, because there's too much money out here for you to support you and your family.
It's true. It's 100% true.
All right, so we got 15. It don't look like we're going to get more. Hold on. We give 30 seconds. The Quay, did you put yours in? Because you said give me a sec. I'm waiting for everybody to say, Troy, you put
Look, we guilted Troy into go getting an external camera from somewhere in his house.
Get the pictures up.
He's rummaging. Oh, he took the pic. Okay, good. There we go.
The Quay?
Hey, look, I'm gonna give Abdul. Abdul, I know you were asking questions. I'm gonna give you one free gem right here when we do a Level Up in Tech that I don't know if anybody else do, and I don't care if they do it. All right, doesn't matter. We tell you what to do every day for 6 months.
Every day.
It's true. Every day.
Every day for 6 months, we tell you what to do.
Never will you wake up and go, what am I going to do today? What do I need to do today? How am I going to get better today? Nope, it's all there in front of you.
All you got to do is worry about the day. That's it.
Yep.
And execute.
The day.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so look, let me see. Very helpful. Without it, I'd be lost. Tony, let's stop playing, Tony. You got this. Like you're a leader.
Yeah, you are doing fine, Tony.
Go ahead, Tony. Like, Tony, go ahead, go to bed, Tony.
Yeah. She can't go to bed at no 8 o'clock. Hell no. She got work. She got work to do.
That cello board ain't go check itself off.
That's right. Ain't no Z. We don't see it for 6 months. What you talking about?
Marvin said, "Can you take the program and still working full time?" Our program is dedicated towards working adults, brother.
I did this program while I was a police officer.
Zaire said, "I work full time."
There you go.
Full-time job. Jason,
at least.
Yes, you can. You know what I mean? Troy, yes,
Damn,
you
we're gonna have to edit that part out.
can. You know what I mean? So look, we got. Okay, let me end the group. We got 16 people. I think Let's see. All right, we're going to end the group.
Okay, Jaquay got his in.
I'll be able to see what it looks like too. It's rendering the file now. Let's see. I think it's gonna give y'all a snapshot of what it's gonna look like.
Boom, there it is.
Look at that.
Boom, look at that. It ain't bad.
That's easy.
We are a good looking crew.
And look, I already got the email notification that it's ready.
Yeah,
look at that.
Make sure y'all share that. Share that right now. If you
Save photo.
Amazing people that was on the call. Most of the amazing people, because some of y'all didn't even take the pic. You know?
RF that photo.
Yeah,
look at that. Look at Marvin learning. Person delete.
So listen,
that was a good one.
I appreciate you, Daniel, for coming here and sharing your story.
Oh man, anytime. I would do this anytime.
And I really appreciate you, Brian, once again coming on, being my right hand man, my ace boom cool man, and I appreciate everybody that came in to join this call too. So once again, for those who are in the program, if anybody who's not in the program have questions, if they can hit you up, they would be wonderful to talk about your experience. Make sure you click that link up top and book a strategy call now. Let's talk about where you are in your career, where you're trying to go, and how we can help you get to where you want to be, all right? So we're going to end this call now, but we're going to end it in fashion, right? You know, because look, they just be telling us, right?
Oh, yeah, let me put that. Hold on. Let me put, I'll put his LinkedIn in there. Let me put mine in there too. Hold on.
Look, when you come out of this program, you're going to be like this, you know. We got to end it like this. Y'all got to jam with me. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Y'all know what this is? Come on, now.
Started from the bottom,
now we here.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Yeah,
started from the bottom, now we're here. Now we're here. Rock out with me. Let's go.
Started from the bottom,
hey.
Whole team here.
Started from the bottom, now the whole team here. Hey, y'all keep leveling up in chat. We gonna check y'all later.
Everybody be good.